Well, hello YouTube. So, nice enough morning to get the bike out and do a few errands. I think that's stuck on properly. Check the camera. Get a bit of fresh air in my lungs. I've been treating myself to some new kit for this season. A fellow biker, and got a new RST jacket. I've got the new HJC i100 crash helmet. And just to finish it off, I got a new neck scarf, because all my neck scarves are getting a bit ragged. And sent off for a pair of, these black riding jeans. And I checked the size of the ones I'm wearing now. And, I always go for a slightly longer leg, so 42 waist. 33, 34 legs, so that when you're on the bike, it doesn't ride around your knees. And then chucked, as you know, I chucked all my old kit away, so got a nice locker full of reasonably or new equipment. Anyway, the pair of riding jeans that came, 64 quid, which I thought was, a good price. Actually, if I'm being honest with you, I felt they were a bit on the cheap side. But I thought, well, I'll give them a go. And when they turned up, as soon as you pick them up out of the bag, you're thinking, oh, Christ. And they had that yellow Kevlar armour stuff inside them. But, test the brakes. They were cheap and nasty and horrible. They just weren't well made at all. And then I saw an article on YouTube, I think it might have been. Somebody had a crash, and they were saying about they were wearing old equipment, really old, like I'd been using, and it had failed. Jacket was ripped to shreds. He got covered in bruises and cuts. The Kevlar jeans he was wearing didn't protect his legs. He had cuts and bruises all over his legs, and then gravel rash all down one side of his leg. The only thing that had worked was these leather gloves, and I think that was because they were cheap gloves, but they were really thick. But they were you couldn't use them again. And then he had a 9-year-old showy crash helmet on, which he completely trashed. But he was knocked out, so he went with a fair old clout. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking to myself while I was reading the article, and there's the reason why you don't buy cheap kit. So, having looked at these jeans, compared them against my other kit, they went in the bag and went straight back. And then I get this email from the owner of the shop. They don't want to give me the money back. I bought them on Amazon, but they don't want to give me the money back, and I had to pay to post them back, which I wasn't happy about. And so I sent him an email and I said, no, I don't want a bigger size. I said, I've seen what you're selling. It's not good quality. It has no safety features. It has no safety markings. I just want my money back. So I'll be interested to see whether he does the decent thing, which I suspect he will, being on Amazon, or if he gets difficult. But if it's between losing 60 odd quid and saving my legs from a bad accident, I'll stuff the 60 quid. But we'll see anyway. Give them a week, see what happens. My kit is either RST or Alpine Stars or HJC or RI. You know, it's good quality makes. They have safety labels in them, so I know exactly what I'm buying. And as I say, as soon as I saw this pair of... Where are you going? As soon as I saw the state of these jeans, I thought, no, there's no way my legs are going in there. You can forget that. But I'm having a devil of a job finding a pair of jeans that actually fits me. It's crazy. You know, you think, well, I go in M&S and I buy jeans for myself, and it's always the same. You know, it's always 42 waist, and in M&S I know it's 33 leg, and they always fit. I've had a pair of Ricker textile trousers. They didn't even go close to me. They were that size. Alpine Stars, 42 waist, 33 leg. No, didn't fit me. What else have I had? Oh, my Bullet jeans. They were supposed to be 42 waist, 33 leg. They were halfway up my flaming leg because I realised I'd bought a regular size, but that was my mistake. And then this load of rubbish that I ordered on Thursday, which has now gone back. And it's like, what is it with bloody sizing? Yeah, he's bloody crazy. Is it like with boots? I know if I order a pair of 47 boots, they don't necessarily fit me, but it's nothing to do with the length of the boot, it's the width, because I have broad feet. And I've come to the conclusion the only way I'm going to get a pair of jeans to fit me, and you know, it's to actually go to a bloody bike shop and try the buggers on and stop pissing around with bloody mail order. Well, 75% of the time it seems to work, but when it doesn't work, it's amazing. They can deliver a parcel you in a day, but it takes 7 working days for it to return. What's that all about? That's something about them keeping the money in their bank account, isn't it? Earning a bit of interest off me. I don't know. On the whole, I have to say I'm completely happy with Sports Bike Shop. They provide a very good service. But everything else that I've ordered, no, it's been problematic. First job done. So as you can see from the front of the bike, something's changed, and I got sick of messing with that pew screen, and when I examined the fittings that went into the sockets that went into the screen, they were just all breaking up. The damn thing, even when it was tightened up completely, I could still move it. And I just decided it just wasn't. It wasn't suited to the bike, so I decided to reset. I'm going to try a different kind of mount. It was something that Lone Wally, Chris, said to me. He said anything that's mounted on handlebars will cause you problems, and he's absolutely right. And I changed I put a screen on the monkey bike, just a little. All I wanted something to protect the instrument cluster and this beeline, you know, to keep water away from it. I don't want a bloody great big stupid, you know, windjammer type thing. So the one on the monkey, it actually mounts on the headlight fittings, and it hasn't affected the steering at all. Anyway, I found one on Amazon, and it mounts on the top of the forks. It doesn't mount on the handlebars. It mounts midway up the forks, and it was a really reasonable price. And it's tiny. It's just a tiny little fly screen, and The only reason for having it, as I say, is just smarten up the front of the bike a little bit and just protect that binnacle and this. And if it does that, that's fine. But it literally just comes above the top of the instrument binnacle, so it'll be about there. So it shouldn't. And it's curved, so it shouldn't affect me causing turbulence. It's the turbulence is absolutely awful. So I'm going to try that. It's little by little, I'm really enjoying this bike. I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I like everything about it, but I just can't get it. To me, with the box and the bags on the back, it looks a bit unbalanced. It wants something on the front just to sort of, in my mind anyway, to balance things up. But I mean, the main reason for doing it, plain and simple, is I just like messing with my bike. I get a lot of pleasure from it. I take a fair bit of ribbing over it, but I don't care. Right, I'm just going to park her here for a minute while I need to save us for Jude. This one, we need all the locks on. So, and this is where this case is coming in really handy. Because I can store my crash out in here. Did I? No, I didn't leave the lock, did I? Right. That's that job done. I always take my time when I'm doing this because one of the things I worry about is, and it's easy to do with this top box, is I always keep these keys away from that. So I always leave them in there because you can shut that case and lock it with the keys inside. It's dead easy to do. It's me. So I never rush. You start rushing, you make mistakes. Now, I can never do it. I always have to go around the other side of the bike. I'm frightened to break the key. That's it. We're in business. If I'd have parked the car here, it would have cost me £3, and all I did was walk across the road. Oh, I told you a fib there. £1.60. Sorry, told you wrong. £3 for 2 hours. £3.20 for 2 hours, £1.60. I'll go like this way for an hour. The nice thing about buying all these little accessories for the bike is it's a way of personalising it and making it your own, which I've enjoyed doing. Most of the accessories, I think the most expensive accessory I bought was that those pairs of windscreens, and they were a bloody disaster. But I'm not going to keep them on the bike. It was just ruining the bike. I'm not particularly bothered about the fact it's supposed to be a scrambler style, because plenty of scramblers, especially in my era in the 1960s when I was watching it on BBC, they always used to have a number plate at the front here. So it's in keeping, if a little bit old-fashioned, but I like the look of it. And I definitely wanted to make the bike my own. I didn't want it, you know, it stands out. If there's three of them stood in the line, I know which one's mine. It's because it's, you know, it's personalised. I always want to be careful. You know, I'm always frightened that strangers to Beverley don't realise that's a roundabout. It's a peculiar junction. It doesn't really look like a roundabout, and it's on a fairly sharp bend. So it's always worth a second look. The weather forecast for the week up to Thursday is really nice, so there's a good chance I'll get out again. I wonder if he knows he's got his indicator on. Ah, he was turning left, that's alright. Big old rhino! As Adam Riemann calls them, a big unit. The next thing this is going to need, but not for a while yet, but it is going to need, before the season's out, it's going to need some new tyres. So I've been looking for a nice set of tyres for the bike. It's a road bike, so I want it to look like a road bike, but I quite like the tyres to have a flavour of off-road, because there is the occasional sand track I intend to use. So I'm having a look at what's available. Anyway, just a short one. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all again real soon. Bye for now. Ta-ta.
There goes Graham on the mighty sail.